There it is. We are live, Lions fans. We are 2 hours and 10 minutes away from the start of the NFC Championship game. Our Detroit Lions taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Let's talk about it. All right, son. We are not going to waste the people's time. We're going to get right into this. Let's start out by saying that you see our TikTok on the page. Let's get our calls out the way. Follow us on TikTok. My son is constantly over there putting up videos for us. If you see the ticker at the bottom, that is our Twitter slash X page. Speaking of that, we are live on over there right now. And follow us on our YouTube page where you will see this posted. All right, son, let's get into it. NFC
Okay, that's
Championship
sweet.
game. By saying that you see Lions, our Lions taking on the sorry about that. Our Lions taking on the San Francisco 49ers. First, let's talk about the keys to our team. Let's start with the defense. What are some of the keys that our defense has to do to, you know what, son? I'm sorry, man. Let's actually look at the injury report real quick. I'm sorry. Let's start here. As
Okay.
you see our injuries right here, the only players that are out are left guard Jonah Jackson and Khalif Raymond is still out. Everyone else is either questionable, but that means that they're gonna play. So now that you see the injuries and who's out, we have actually they're both offensive players. What would be the keys to our defense to beat the San Francisco 49ers team in San Francisco?
Well, there's a few keys. I mean, to be honest, on paper, you'd probably have to argue that the 49ers have like one of the best offenses in the league, which I mean, they kind of do, I guess. They have Christian McCaffrey, they have Brock Purdy, who, he's proven himself. They have Debo Samuel, they have Brandon Ayuk. Because he rushes the ball too, doesn't he? I know he's a receiver, or does he not rush the ball?
Not as much as Debo does.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously they have Kittle. And then I know they have Trent Williams too, don't they, as well?
Yes, left tackle.
Oh, um, to be honest, we're gonna need to get pressure how we were before. We're gonna need Hutch to get. I mean, we don't need Hutch to get sacks every time. He doesn't have to have 3 sacks. We just need him to get back there and make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Something I noticed with the Ravens, the Chiefs game. Um, uh, Patrick Mahomes has been real comfortable in the pocket. He's been able to move around in the pocket, and I can't stand when quarterbacks have too much time because, as you know, corners you can't. These are NFL players. These guys are running 4.3s and stuff out here. You can't cover that. You can't cover that for more than 3 or 4 seconds. Like that's already pushing it, and people will start improvising stuff. So we can't allow Brock Purdy to be improvising plays. We can't allow Christian McCaffrey to have 120 yards rushing. Because once again, kind of how I mentioned with, or how we both mentioned with the Buccaneers game, man, if they start getting the rush game going, it's going to be wraps. I'm not going to lie. Because something's going to give. Either Debo Samuel's going to go off or Christian McCaffrey's going to go off. Like, they got a lot. They got, like I already said, they got McCaffrey, Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk. You can't let all 4 of them go off. You got to pick one. So if McCaffrey goes off, you can't let Kittle, Ayuk, and Samuel go off as well. Like, so that's really me. It's kind of like we mentioned the Kobe Shaq thing. You got to focus on one. You can decide who you're going to let cook, but you can't let everyone else cook as well. My biggest thing is I think they need to make Brock Purdy uncomfortable in the pocket, and they really need to show Christian McCaffrey that they're going to be popping today, as well as Debo Samuel.
Okay, I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna follow your take on that, son. As far as our defense goes, it is true. We're gonna have to get pressure on Christian McCaffrey. Excuse me, not Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy. We're going to get pressure on him. As I was talking to you yesterday, the right side of their line is also injury prone and not as strong. That happens to be the side that Hutch mostly plays on. And like you said, it's not about him getting a sack or a ton of sacks. It's about getting pressure. I think that Aaron Glenn is going to have to do what he's been doing the last few weeks. He's going to have to bring pressure from all kind of different places. He's going to have to disguise pressure. Sometimes linebackers are coming. Sometimes the safeties or the corners are coming. Sometimes it's neither. Sometimes it's just a false flag. He makes you think they're rushing, and he maybe runs stunts or something. I believe the key is going to be making Brock Purdy uncomfortable. Now, as far as Christian McCaffrey goes, the Lions have done a pretty good job of shutting running backs down. Now, granted, I know I said last week that Rashard White looked, decent against the Lions, but they can't let McCaffrey start getting comfortable in his running back spot. Now, catching the ball, we know that that's going to happen sometimes, but I agree, something's got to give. There has to be something that we have to shut down. Also, too, it'd be nice if someone can really get their hands on Deebo Samuels, and let's see if he's actually healthy or not, because he could be out there just because it's an NFC Championship game and he wants to play to help his team. Maybe he's not as healthy as we think. Maybe we can get hands on him. Maybe he's not that effective, but I believe that that's going to be the key: getting pressure on Brock Purdy, maybe having him chuck up an interception or so. And I believe that's how our defense can hold. Let's move on to the offense. What has to happen, in your opinion, with the offense to be successful against this 49ers defense?
Um, I know we mentioned that some people were saying that Jared. Well, I guess I agreed, kind of. That Jared Goff is going to have a baller game, but I'm more agreeing with you. Honestly, the 49ers rush defense isn't too amazing. I mean, Aaron Jones had not well over, but he had over 100 yards against them, and we know that the Lions have a better offense than them. We need Jameer. Like, it can't be like, I know Jameer Gibbs had one good run. Like, no, we need David Montgomery's gonna have about 50 yards, and we need Jameer Gibbs to have like 100. I mean, that's really what I think it may. That's what I think we need. I think we're gonna need some big breakoff runs, how he had against the Buccaneers, and I think we're gonna need David Montgomery to be converting at the goal line, and we're gonna need him to be converting on those 3rd and 1s. I also think that we're gonna need Josh Reynolds to keep cooking. Honestly, it doesn't matter if they key in on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's impossible to cover. So no one's been able to cover him all season. So I don't think that really matters. I do think they're going to try to do something against Sam Laporta because do the 49ers have good linebackers?
I think they have decent linebackers, yes.
Okay, Sam Laporta might be able to cook too. But honestly, the biggest thing for me, I think Josh Reynolds is going to have a sneaky good game. I think Jameson Williams needs to have a good game. And I think for sure Gibbs and Laporta. And then also Penei Sewell, he's going to have a baller game. This is his hardest matchup ever, probably. I mean, I'm going to say that
Tough, yes.
going against, it's Joey Bosa, right?
Yes, Joey Bosa.
I think going against Joey Bosa is going to
I'm sorry, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa.
I get them confused.
Yes,
I think
okay.
going against Nick Bosa is going to be a little harder than, going against Michael Parsons. I know he did decent against Parsons. Yeah, and I think Jared Goff, we just need him to – I'm not saying we need him to be a game manager, but, man, that's kind of what we do need, man. We just need him to give us good, accurate throws. And when there's time to make a play, that's just what he needs to do. But really, I think that run game needs to be established. I don't think we need to go out there going out on 3 and outs. I'm not going to lie. That's not going to be a good way to start this game. We don't need the momentum to switch like that. We have to remember it's not a home game. And I know our fans travel, but we clearly made a difference for the Buccaneers at that game for how loud it was. And I'm sure the 49ers fans are going to make a difference today.
I'm with you on that. I will start with the offensive line. The offensive line was very dominant last week against the Buccaneers. I think that's going to be one of the keys on. Matter of fact, I think that's going to be probably the key on offense today. Is that the offensive line has to hold. They have to give Jared Goff 3.5 seconds to be able to read the defense and make his throws. Jumping to Jared Goff. Jared Goff has to play the way he's played the last few weeks. No turnovers. He cannot be jittery in the pocket because we know he can be that way sometimes. He has to be poised. He has to be the Jared Goff that led the Rams a few years ago to the Super Bowl. That's a Jared Goff that we're going to need. As for the running game, the running game is going to be very key. I agree with you. Between Montgomery and Gibbs, we have to have over 100 yards. By over 100 yards, I really mean 130, 140, 150 yards. We have to be able to control the game to run the clock down. And as for the receivers, I agree. Laporta, I believe Zach Ertz could come up with 2 or 3 decent catches for us. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to do his thing, but I still think the key is going to be Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds. I think that Ben Johnson and the rest of the crew has to get something out of Jameson Williams. They have to find, Jameson Williams has come along. He's been showing us that he can be a possession receiver, but we have to get something out of Jameson Williams.
We need him on some short routes.
Yeah, short routes. Something. We need to see Jameson Williams on something where he's running as he catches, because lately we've been seeing he's been making his catches, but they've been possession catches. He catches and he's tackled immediately, 7 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards. We need to see him on some end arounds. We need to see him on some slants, something where he gets the ball in his hands and he's continuously moving. And I believe that would be the key to our offense. Let's talk about special teams, because I think the special teams is going to play a huge part. The kicking game from Bagley I think that he's going to have to make at least a couple of field goals. We cannot have doinkers miss field goals. Jack Fox is going to be huge. He cannot have any shank punts. I mean, Jack Fox is solid.
Yeah.
He's going to have to keep the 49ers pinned back when he does have to punt. But what gives me concern with Khalif Raymond, our son, is the return game, kick and punt returns. To me, Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't give us a lot last week in the return game. What's your thoughts on special teams?
I forgot about him.
That's
Wow.
probably why you forgot.
Yeah. um for the like honestly, I feel like you nailed it on the head. The main guy is Badgley. You just kind of made me sick thinking about that. I don't know why the spread's at 7.5. I feel like that's insane. I feel like the sports bettors just are begging people to take that. They must really think that 49 is going to put that work on us. But really, I think it's kind of what you said. It could come down to a missed kick or something like that. It could come down to a 2-point game, a 3-point game. So really, I agree with what you said. Kickers miss extra points all the time. They miss easy field goals that we think they should make. So really, we just need the Honey Badger or the Money Badger. I'm sorry, to be on his stuff tonight. I'm not gonna lie, because I agree with you. I do think the Lions are probably gonna have to settle for a couple of field goals. But yeah, we'll talk about that more in a minute. Because I was looking, and the 49ers can put up a lot of points. Yeah, they can put up quite a bit of points actually. So yeah.
Now I'm looking at this injury report. I don't see Khalil Dorsey injured. Why has he not been back returning punts? I thought he was doing a decent job returning kicks and returning punts. Even Craig Reynolds probably can give us something, but we have to get something in return game. Listen, when the 49ers are punting the ball, we cannot have returns of 6 to 8 yards. We need guys to break some decent 18, 20, 22-yard returns to give the offense, good field position. All right. Well, we gave our thoughts on offense. We gave our thoughts on the defense. Let's just go ahead and jump into the prediction. What is your prediction on what do you think is going to happen in the game, and what do you think is going to be the outcome?
I think it's going to be a classic game, just like it's looking like the Chiefs and Ravens are going to be. And man, you can call me biased, but and it probably won't be this high scoring because it hasn't been almost every time I guess it's going to be. Right. But I'm going to have to say 31-28 Lions. It's going to come down to it. The Brock Purdy is going to have to try to drive down the field, but they're just not going to be able to get it done. That's what I got. I got 31-28 Lions. I think it's going to be a classic game. People talk about next year, but we seem to forget the players don't care about next year. Dan Campbell doesn't care about next year. Ben Johnson doesn't care about next year. And Aaron Glenn doesn't care about next year. It's right now. It's like I tweeted earlier. There's blood in the water, and the players can smell it. And the Lions, agreed. I think they're going to show the whole world how bad they want to go to the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I have the Lions winning 31-28.
Okay. I'm going to follow suit. This is actually not me being biased. I said earlier that I thought that we might come up a little bit short, but as we got closer to the game, the game all week, I listened to the players. I've listened to Coach Dan Campbell. I have a gut feeling that our boys are going to pull it out. I'm going 28-24 Lions. And I do agree. I think it's going to come down to the 49ers having the ball and our defense coming up huge, just like they did last week against the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield was going to try to lead his team down the field to tie the game up. Derek Barnes came up with that huge interception, game over. And I actually believe it's going to happen. But as I said to you yesterday, we were talking, it's been a great season. Win or lose, the Lions have had an amazing season. But the reason why I'm all for the Super Bowl now is because something else I told you. In 2021, nobody thought that the Cincinnati Bengals were going to go to the Super Bowl. Nobody thought that. But what did they do? They got hot at the right time. They got hot at the end of the season. They did their thing in the wild card against the Raiders. Yes, against the Raiders. They did their thing in the divisional, and then they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. And yes, no, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but at least they made it. The Lions can be that same team. They can make that run, and they can finish this season in the Super Bowl. But we'll see what happens. We are now just under 2 hours away. So that's our final predictions on the game. Did we miss anything, son?
I don't think so. Let's go Lions.
I agree. Go Lions. All right, people. If you haven't followed us on TikTok, there it is on the screen. Go ahead and follow us over there. If you haven't followed us on Twitter/X, it's right there at the bottom of the screen. Follow us there. This is actually our first time going live, and I see we have a few people over there. So that's kind of cool. This is something that we will actually continue doing. It's our first time trying it out. And you know our YouTube page where this video will go up, the Lions Den podcast. Other than that, Lions fans, win or lose, we will see you guys after the game. If we don't get you tonight, we will get you tomorrow. Other than that, that's all we got. Go Lions. Peace.
Peace.